The oil industry is not doing the right thing. They haven't met their commitment to invest in America and support the American people. One by one, major oil companies have reported their profits for the last 2 quarters. I mean, profits so high, it's hard to believe, while the rest of the country is going through hell. 6 of the largest oil companies made more than $100 billion in profits.
It's the blame game on the campaign trail. President Biden ramping up the pressure on big oil with midterms less than a week away. U.S. pipeline giant Energy Transfer slamming President Biden's threat to punish drillers for not pumping more crude. Democratic lawmakers pointing their finger at the Fed. A group of them writing a letter to Chairman Powell questioning his rate hike strategy just a couple of days before the next big Fed decision. That Fed decision is today. AMH is down in D.C. Will Kennedy joins us now over in London. Annmarie, the finger pointing getting more aggressive a week out.
Yeah, exactly, Jonathan, and that's why. We're 6 days out from the midterm elections. Already you have more than 20 million people voting and early voting, and really right now what the Democrats are facing is a ton of attacks from the Republicans on an issue that across polls you see individuals wanting to vote on, and that is the economy and that is on inflation. And one of the biggest issues for this administration has been to really communicate for the past 2 weeks or so that gas prices have been going down over the summer when gas prices spiked on the national average more than $5 a gallon in June. You saw President Biden's approval ratings really drop. And then when it comes to the Fed, you really see a growing chorus of Democratic lawmakers on the Hill writing letters talking about the Fed and what they're doing and their aggressive action to tame inflation, but what that could mean for potential unemployment and the job prospects going into next year. So it's really pointing the blame and scapegoating some other individuals like big oil and the Fed as you go into the final days of this really crucial election that's going to decide who has the power in Congress.
Perhaps unsurprising, Will, we're all aware of the electoral politics that is taking place here. The oil majors will be as well. Will, are they engaging in this war of words? Are they stepping to the side? What are they doing?
I think they're taking different approaches. I think in the US, as you just mentioned, the energy transfer comments at the top of the segment there, John, they're pushing back quite aggressively, and they feel confident in pushing back quite aggressively because they have a lot of political support on the other side of Congress. I think in Europe it's a different story. I think European oil majors realize that they're under a lot of pressure, especially those based in Britain, Shell and BP, that the government here is considering ways to raise more revenue. And those very, very big profits, $8 billion in the quarter yesterday from BP, made because they're making so much money from trading gas, gives them a target. And I think they're having to be a little bit realistic and acknowledging that there's probably a little bit more taxation coming.
Well, what is getting lost here is just good energy policy. I understand that this makes for good headlines and good conversation between the three of us, but Will, have we had a big enough think, do you think, about the future of energy and how we need to recalibrate energy policy in places like America and beyond?
No. Things are clearly confused. You've got two messages which aren't completely compatible coming out of Washington. On the one hand, we want you to drill more oil. We want you to raise production. We need to have more energy available and bring down prices. On the other hand, we're going to tax the money that you make. That's not the most coherent way of looking at things. And then there's the incoherence of trying to balance more energy production, more oil and gas production, with the stated aims of bringing down emissions that also Biden has. So there's no doubt that we live in an age of confusing energy priorities, and that's driven by the clash of long-term climate priorities and the short-term day-to-day of battling inflation and winning elections.